Listen, NFL season is off to a bang for your Miami Dolphins as Jason Sanders nails a 52-yard field goal as time expires to give the Miami Dolphins a 20-17 win in Week 1 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this whole day was really crazy, not just for the Dolphins, but for the NFL in general, but especially for the Miami Dolphins, because you can't beat the Dolphins without having some sort of wacky, wild controversy, which we'll get into. But I want to start by talking about Jason Sanders, because earlier in this game, he completely shanked like a 42-yard field goal, not even close. Looked like it was 20 yards to the left of the upright on the goalpost. Thought it was going to be a mental thing for him. Did hit like a 30-yarder later on and then nailed the game winner. Thank God, because I think Dolphins fans have a very weird relationship with Jason Sanders. He gets a ton of hate, rightfully so. I mean, me included, right? So I'm not going to act like I'm excluded from that, because started out, you had Jason Sanders. You know, he's been with the Dolphins for some time now. I think longer than a lot of people would expect. Was really great his rookie season, had a couple great years, got paid, and then was terrible after that. Y'all probably follow Brendan Tobin if you watch this channel. He kind of started the whole fat cat meme, and that was pretty much the definition of Jason Sanders. But although he's missed a lot of kicks in these previous 2 seasons, anything over 40 yards seemed to be out of his range. 8 for 8 on game-winning / game-tying field goals is 8 for 8 on game-winning / tying field goals. And that's what Jason Sanders completed today, because prior to this they were 7-7. They tried icing him. I did not feel great at all until Doug Peterson called that timeout to ice him, because icing the kicker never works. I don't know when NFL coaches are going to stop trying to do that. It never works. So once they called the timeout, I did feel a little bit confident, and like I said, Sanders is now 8 for 8 in those clutch field goals, under 2 minutes left in the game. So although he's been inconsistent, particularly after getting paid, he has been reliable thus far. So I do just want to shout him out without harping on it too much, because for all I know, I could be jinxing him, and later in the season, y'all are clipping this and sending it to me when he misses some dumb crap. But I'm not going to even talk. I don't even want to manifest that into the world. So we're moving on. Shout out to Jason Sanders for capping off the Dolphins' comeback, in which they were down, I think, as much as 10 at one point. As you could see here, I'm back in the childhood home in Davie for the weekend, so I was watching the family with the game. I didn't get to take a lot of notes on my phone because I was just so tuned into my Hard Rock, or excuse me, the anonymous player props betting app that does not sponsor me, so I will not say their name. I was on that one, and I was on another one. Had a bunch of bets going. Y'all know I smashed Tua and Tyreek and Waddle and HAN. So let's just say I did very well today on the monetary side of the game. But of course, I was into the fantasy football. I have HAN and Tua in my leagues, so they were pretty decent for me today as well. And I was into the game, opening weekend. So I didn't have a lot of notes, so we'll just kind of go off the dome here, and we'll look through the box score a little bit later too. But anyways, I do know the Dolphins were down 17-10. It was 17-7. Very, very ugly start for the offense. Start of the game, like turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs. They damn near punted more in the first quarter today than they did all the first half of last season, because they were never punting. I'm hoping it's just a case of rust, which people were saying because they didn't get any preseason snaps together. But I'm like, this core's been together for 3 years now. I don't think you should have that much rust. But regardless, there's other concerns outside of that. The O-line didn't look great to start. You had the new center, Aaron Brewer, who was terrifying me because they said he had problems snapping the ball to begin with, and we just dealt with that with Connor Williams last year, and now they're saying Aaron Brewer was coming off a hand injury. So I'm thinking they're going to muff the first snap of the game, but there was no problems there thus far. But again, the line play was very iffy because they could not run the ball whatsoever for almost the whole first half. I think Tua was their leading rusher. He got about 13 yards. That was the leading rusher. Which, by the way, on the player prop betting app, Tua's line was 2.5 rushing yards. That's disrespectful. I know my boy's not mobile, which does frustrate me because there was a couple plays in the game where Tua took a sack. He took a monster sack, which kicked them out of field goal range, which was terrible. And I'm sitting there screaming, why'd you lose all that weight to be mobile? You're not mobile at all. That was pissing me off. I'm not going to lie to you, because he did not look mobile at all. But that being said, he was still the leading rusher in the first half. because our guys like Mostert and Achane, they couldn't really break free early on, but they did do a little bit better job in the second half getting some yardage, particularly Devon Achane, who I thought was phenomenal today, and Jeff Wilson, who we'll look at his numbers a little bit later anyways. But as I said, the Dolphins were down 17-7. I think the only touchdown, the first one they had was an Achane touchdown, was able to hand off to him, and he got in there. But then for the second time today, Jacksonville got the ball within the 5-yard line and proceeded to go on a 95-yard drive, 95-plus yard drive. The first time earlier in the game they scored. This time you have they're at like second and goal, whatever. They hand the ball off to Travis Etienne, and he just breaks through 6 people and gets into the end zone. But wait a minute, he actually was stripped by Javon Holland before going into the end zone. Kader Cole, who runs up to it, falls on the ball, touchback, Dolphins ball. Just an absolutely game-saving of all game-saving plays. Because if Javon Holland does not strip Etienne there, the Dolphins are now down 17, either midway or late through the third quarter. Instead, what happened, Dolphins get the ball on a touchback, and finally, an 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill with Kevin Harlan on the call. There is no better duo than Kevin Harlan and Tyreek Hill. You got the "He's got Hill." Those are the 3 most beautiful words in sports. But one play, 80 yards to Tyreek Hill, just a beautiful bomb. He was able to keep his feet in bounds. That dexterity that he has to go full speed, because he got tripped up a little bit, but he was able to maintain his balance to stay in. He makes that look a lot easier than it is. So shout out to Tyreek Hill, who just had a wild morning. We get the news maybe around 11 o'clock today, a couple hours before the game. Videos going viral on Twitter that Tyreek Hill was detained for what they're calling a moving violation, a minor traffic incident. Heard a few different things there. And I'm just sitting there watching some pregame, and my dad's looking at his phone, and he says, "Oh, Tyreek Hill was just arrested." And I'm like, haha, that's funny, because I just told you I placed $200 in parlays today, and they all have Tyreek Hill. I thought my dad was joking, but he's not smiling. He's not laughing. His cadence doesn't portray that he's joking. So I open up Twitter. The first thing I see is this man Tyreek Hill handcuffed with his stomach on the ground. And then they put his knees on the ground. Now, I will say, as I'll kind of, I guess, echo what Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, said. They interviewed him for about a minute. He said he's not making any allegations, but what it looked like, what it appeared to be, was way excessive force. And all we know at this point is that the Miami PD said that they are investigating the situation. I think they need to, because if this was as simple as just a minor traffic violation, then that's ridiculous. There's no reason to have to detain my boy, put him on the ground with his stomach to the pavement. That's ridiculous. But like I said, we'll wait to see what happens there. Fortunately, it did come out pretty quick that Tyreek was okay and he would play today, and he was able to move on from that incident. So I was very happy he was able to have a nice play today to kind of just, feel good about himself. He did do the handcuff celebration. He put his hands behind his back and had Jalen Waddle handcuff him. It's kind of funny, but still, it is a serious issue what potentially, allegedly, I guess, happened to Tyreek Hill there. But anyways, shout out to Tyreek today. I think he had like 130 balling today. And then what else happened? So that is what the Dolphins to put them down 3. And then on the ensuing kickoff, someone on the Dolphins is able to strip the return man, and Duke Riley and Chop Robinson almost sneak the ball in there. But they don't retain possession. It goes to the Jaguars. So the Dolphins nearly had a turnover, a touchdown, and a turnover again. But the Dolphins do ultimately get a stop. And then I think that might be where the Dolphins actually got a stop on 4th down. There was at some point in this game where Doug Peterson went for it on 4th down on like his own 30-yard line, because it was 4th and 1. Did not get it. The Dolphins get great field position. And then that's when they get like 2 total yards, settle for a field goal, and that's when Jason Sanders misses the damn thing. So they're still down 3 at this point. But obviously the Dolphins continue to get stops. They tie it up, and then eventually Jason Sanders hits the game-winning field goal. So shout out to the Dolphins. After giving up 17 points pretty early on, held the Jaguars to 0 for the rest of the game. Okay, so I know there's a lot of other stuff I didn't get to yet, but I'm going to kind of run down this box score and see what jogs my memories, because a lot of guys made some pretty big plays, especially on the defense, especially in that second half. So starting off, Tua Tagovailoa, a nice little 23-37 for 338 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Love to see that for him. And then go on to the rushing game. Jeff Wilson did get you 5 carries because Jalen Wright was inactive. Another surprising inactive was Ethan Bonner. We heard he might actually start, but instead they keep him inactive and go with Storm Duck. neither one of those guys really had much to do today. You did get Jalen Ramsey, who didn't look great out there, had a DPI calling him, got beat once or twice. I don't know if he's fully healthy. I'm hope that he is. That's why he played. If not, I would have liked to rest him for the Thursday night game versus Buffalo. But shout out to Jalen Ramsey for getting out there. And I just hope that he can still get a little bit more healthy because he was fine today, but certainly can make a few more plays out there. But regardless, moving on to the rushing game here, Jeff Wilson had some monster runs in the second half to really eat up clock. He had 5 for 26. And then Devon Achane was your leading carrier today with 10 attempts. He got himself 24 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, Tua, 1 rush, 11 yards. Mostert got you 6 carries for 9 yards. Not a lot today for him. And then Alec Ingold was a beast for you today. Oh, I just got an update on Tyreek Hill incident. It says Miami PD places one of the officers involved on administrative leave. Wow. So it does look like there was a lot of excessive force there. And I bet those Miami officers feel stupid. It's a shame stuff like that happens every day. But today they happen to do it to Tyreek Hill. So I'm glad that officer was let go. But anyways, I'm sure we'll get more information about that. Back to Alec Ingold, was a beast today. Had several 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 conversions. That he is elite at that. My dad says the Lusaka Polite comparison for all y'all old heads out there. Seems like we got another one of those. And that's critical because obviously the Dolphins these past couple years have been very bad on short yardage situations. I know they've had Alec Ingold. I just wish that they've used him more. And today we saw that he made some huge plays. Big energy guy. Love Alec Ingold. On to the receiving game. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches for 130 and a tutty. Jalen Waddle, 109 yards. Glad to see he's healthy because I was a little concerned about his health since he didn't get a lot of run in practice in the preseason. Achane, we heard they were going to use him in the receiving game. They did. 7 catches for 76 yards. And then not much else from the other guys. I thought they would target Jonnu Smith a little bit more. He only got 1 catch today for 7 yards. But on the defensive side today, David Long was excellent today. 8 total tackles. Jordan Poyer made a play early on, along with Calais Campbell, who on the first defensive snap of the game got a sack. You love to see it. A couple of the new guys making big impacts there. Jordan Poyer got you 6 tackles there. Kendall Fuller, another new guy, making some plays today. 6 tackles for him. Emmanuel Ogbah, monster sack later in the game as well. And then the main guy that I want to shout out here is Jalen Phillips, coming back what was deemed to be early from an Achilles injury. Actually just was a little bit non-existent in the first half. Didn't see much of him, but in that fourth quarter when the Dolphins finally tied the game up and needed to get a stop, so the Jags just couldn't run out the clock. It's 3rd down, and who is there to get the monster sack? It's Jalen Phillips. Big time players make big time plays. He wants to get paid, and that is a play that proves that's exactly what he needs to do if he wants to prove that he wants to get paid. Stuff like that. So I love to see Jalen Phillips once again coming up with a huge sack, as he often does. And then I think we talked about Javon Holland's couple big plays, the strip on NTN. So that's probably the most of it as far as a couple of guys we saw throughout today's game. But wild game, wild NFL Sunday. I'm sure there's a million more things that we could talk about, but I'm going to wrap it up here so we can kind of collect our thoughts together. And I'll be coming to y'all with some more videos throughout the rest of this NFL and Dolphin season. And we'll talk about some Heat news when we get some. Make sure y'all like the video and subscribe, because I'm on the grind to grow this channel, especially grow this side of the channel, the football side, because this Dolphins team on paper looks like it can be good. So let's have some fun talking about it. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.